Hey, yo, SixftHax here, bringing you guys today the finals of the Arcanine9 League. If you guys may have missed any of our previous games, a link to a playlist will be down in the description. You guys can go check out our regular season games and our previous playoff matches. So, two quick things before I get into the actual video here itself. I'm going to mention both of these during the team preview portion because I know people are going to skip straight to it because they can't listen for like a minute. But this finals I guess, yeah, is going to be best 2 out of 3, which I personally really do not like, but I'm not the owner of the league and it was up to Arcanine9, so hey, it is what it is. So that means we have to win 2 games before we are officially declared champions, which is good and bad, because if we lose game 1, that means we still have a shot to win, but if we win game 1, then that means our opponent has a shot to win. So hopefully we can win our first game here. Now, this is only going to be one battle because these were all done on Wi-Fi. All the battles are done on Wi-Fi, so that means I'm going to have a separate video probably tomorrow with game number 2, because it's going to be at least 2 games regardless. And then if we go into a third game, I'll probably try and mix that into tomorrow, or I may leave that for a second upload for tomorrow. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how I'm going to do it if there is a third game, but yeah, we'll figure something out. Regardless though, you guys are gonna get more than one battle for final, so I guess it's kind of cool. I personally don't like best 2 out of 3, and I'm not gonna go into details why, but hey, regardless, best 2 out of 3, we got to win 2 games. Hopefully it'll be 2 in a row and we'll be straight. So if you guys do enjoy this, hit that thumbs up button down below and let me know what you guys think about potential 2 out of 3 finals for regular draft leagues, because I've heard talk of some people wanting to try best 2 out of 3 format for regular leagues, but I don't know, I feel like just it's way too hectic, man. Like it's also a lot more pressure than just one game, but it does have its merits and its disadvantages. Regardless though, we are facing Esmeralda. She is the captain of the Duskwing Star Raptors, and her team is not as scary as our previous playoff opponents. But the thing about it is that her team has such an annoyingly good matchup against me. I say that because the combination of Greninja plus ARAQUANID can really overwhelm any type of defense I want to bring to this game. If that is a Battle Bond Greninja, if it activates Battle Bond and I don't have something that outspeeds it, it basically just murders me. So that's very scary. Zygarde is, I think, her biggest threat alongside Greninja. Zygarde set up Dragonium Z can pretty much just violate any of my mons. Like, yeah, I have Sneasel, but Ice Shard is not doing that much, and then a +1 E-Speed is still doing a lot of damage, and then she could also be very, very bulky, or she could be coil too, so that's something else that we have to be careful around. ARAQUANID is a little bit annoying, although I'm not entirely too sure if she would want to bring it to this match. Just because I guess webs are fine, but I have some decent hazard removal, so I'm not really worried about ARAQUANID. I feel like I have decent ways of dealing with it, so I'm not too concerned about that. Gengar also has a decent matchup. She has triple poison, which means my one Zygarde answer is going to be very pressured in this game by her triple poison core. Snorlax could be very scary, although we do have double fighting, so I don't really see her bringing it to any of our 2 or 3 battles. Lycanroc is one of her Z-Mons. I could maybe see her wanting to bring that as a potential Swords Dance sweeper. It could have Accelerock as well, so the possibility is very open. I honestly don't expect Jinx to come, because Jinx basically does what Gengar does in this match, and Gengar has a much better matchup than Jinx, so I expect Gengar as opposed to Jinx if she were to bring one of the 2. Both coming just doesn't make much sense to me. Her defensive core of Florges and Mega Aggron is very, very annoying, but we have plenty of ways to be able to break through that as well. So let's take a look at our first team member here. As you can see, this is going to be a Nidoqueen. Quick little description of the set. This is basically here for the Gengar. This is my Gengar switching. We can live any 2 Life Orb hits. I don't think she'll bring Specs. Specs doesn't make much sense. I feel like sub Life Orb potentially, or maybe like sub Whisk with a Black Sludge could be what she may want to bring. Regardless though, Nidoqueen should be able to easily deal with the Gengar. Our dual stab with the Ice Beam basically hits everything on her team for neutral or super effective damage, which is really good. The way I wanted to try to make my team is that because Zygarde is such a big threat, I don't want to allow her to get a free turn of setup, and that's what I'm going to try and hopefully do in this game. So yeah, Nidoqueen can hit everything, tank hits. Also is a nice mod to pressure her Aggron and Florges defensive core. Speaking of her defensive core, along with the rest of her defensive mons, Komodo can actually just body her entire team, especially if I'm able to get behind a substitute with the Commonium Z Omni boost. Then Komodo basically just wins. And for those of you who may not know, yes, Omni boost moves were allowed for this league. So we decided to rock with Commonium Z here with Clanging Scales, because once that Florges drops, or if for some reason she doesn't bring a Florges, Komodo basically just murders her squad with all of these offensive moves here. And then we also do have Poison Jab to try and beat Florges, so we can hopefully get a Clanging Scales off later in the battle here. With our speed, with +1 boosted speed, we are able to outspeed a Ash Greninja, and that means I have to allow it to get Battle Bond first activated, which hopefully I won't. But with the speed, we do outspeed it if it is activated, so it shouldn't be entirely too problematic. And then dual stab, Poison Jab basically hits everything else. The 60 special attack is just so Clanging Scale can do a little bit of extra damage, and potentially our Z move as well. To things like physically defensive Aggron if it comes to it, Vileplume, or Weezing, as well as maybe even Araquanid. So yeah, this set with this coverage can actually just hit her entire team for neutral or super effective damage pretty hard. And then if I do get behind a sub, even if she does have the Florges, I can still get 2 hits off on potentially anything, which is really good in my opinion. So moving on, we have Tortuga here, our Mega Blastoise, rocking a nice mixed defensive set. This set is very handy because it can try and deal with her Greninja and her Araquanid. I'm not sure if she would want to bring both, just because I do have Heliolisk. Like, yeah, she may have Zygarde, but I could potentially just run HP Ice on Heliolisk, and then Heliolisk can pressure Araquanid very, very easily and take advantage of it. So if anything, I expect her to bring Greninja. I'm not sure if she would want to bring Greninja and Araquanid. So if she doesn't bring both, that's going to be amazing for my Mega Blastoise. If she does bring Araquanid, we can Toxic it and hopefully try and wear it down. And then Rapid Spin, of course, is for her hazards. She doesn't have the best Stealth Rockers around, so she most definitely will have rocks on Mega Aggron, because Mega Aggron can definitely be brought to this game just because of how bulky it is, man. That thing does not die to any one hit. So yeah, hoping Mega Blastoise here can deal with her hazards and try to ensure that Greninja does not freely get its Battle Bond activated. Next off, we have physically defensive Shaman as our Zygarde answer, and I know I have the Kabaya Berry here, and that is because this also kind of functions as a lure for the Gengar. Like, originally I had Psychic. I was going to go Psychic over Earth Power because it hit all of her poison types, but realistically, I don't think she has much reason to bring Vileplume and Weezing. So Gengar is most likely going to be her only poison type that comes to this game, and then I can lure that, eat a Sludge Bomb, and then hopefully knock it out with Earth Power after a little bit of chip damage and rocks, which is really good. Hidden Power Ice is of course for the Zygarde. I can easily 2-hit KO it depending on how bulky it really is. And then Seed Flare is just Seed Flare. It basically hits everything, can lower Spadef, and that's really nice. So yeah, I need it to be max defense and max HP because this is the only type of Shaman set that can live a +1 Dragonium Z from Zygarde, which again is like the scariest set of Zygarde I can expect in this game. Next off, we have Scarf Jirachi. This was actually the last team member I put on the team here. I originally had something different over it, but I figured that I absolutely need to have a Scarfer in this game, and Scarf Jirachi can actually do a lot in this match. U-Turn, Ice Punch, and Iron Head deals with basically all of her mons that are naturally faster than my Jirachi, and then obviously Ice Punch is able to hit the Zygarde for 4 times super effective damage, and as you've seen from the entire team so far, nothing is going to allow Zygarde to get up a free Dragon Dance unless I really misplay my Jirachi and I have to lock myself into something like Iron Head, in which case I can just Iron Head flinch it potentially. And then Trick is only really there in case something like Florges maybe becomes a bit of an issue, or I suppose Vileplume as well. Trick is just really a filler move that honestly could have been something else. It does help against the Snorlax, but again, I really don't expect Lax this game because we have Kamo and we have Infernape, and I'm definitely going to be bringing at least one fighting type to every single game that we play. So that could deter her again from wanting to bring Snorlax at all, but Trick is still nice to have in case Kerslax gets out of hand potentially late game as our last mon. And then the last team member that we have here is going to be Expert Belted Greninja. I really wish I had kept the original item on this Greninja. I think I had Metronome. Metronome actually would have been very, very handy if I was in a position to spam moves like Dark Pulse, Ice Beam, or even Gunk Shot. Because of Protean, everything gets stabbed, so there's really no drawback to me having to actually spam any move in this game. But all three of these moves basically smack her entire team. And then we have Spikes, because Spikes and Rocks are nice to wear down her squad to allow hopefully Jirachi or Komodo to win late game. So yeah guys, that is going to be our first team for game number 1 here. Let's go ahead and jump into the battle. Okay guys, so 2 quick things before we get into the actual battle itself. First off, yes, I am on the other side. Unfortunately, my 3DS SD card got corrupted. I went over this a couple videos ago. So I lost all my battles, which means I lost the battle file for this. And even though I did upload the replays, I couldn't find them, so I had to get them from my opponent's perspective. So I apologize about that. But hey, regardless, I have the finals here for you guys, and all the finals are going to be on Wi-Fi. I say all the finals because this finals is best 2 out of 3 format, which really sucks. I'm not a big fan of that, and I would like to know what you guys think of best 2 out of 3 format for potential other leagues that may want to try it. So yeah, this is going to be game number 1. Game number 2 will be going up tomorrow, potentially along with game number 3, or game number 3 will be up on Wednesday if there is a game number 3. It all depends on how games 1 and games 2 go. So looking at the team preview here, I was really disappointed to see Greninja and Araquanid. Like, Araquanid was something I really did not consider being a giant threat, but you're gonna see that I was very, very wrong about that in this game. Besides that though, Battle Bond Greninja could be scary. Protean Greninja by itself is very scary to deal with, because if she has Grass Knot, that means she smacks my Mega Blastoise, which is my answer to Greninja. And then Gengar could be annoying if I lose my Nidoqueen. And then hopefully Zygarde does not freely set up on me, because if it does get the +2 speed and +2 attack, then I basically just lose. So I decided to lead off with my Mega Blastoise, because my Mega Blastoise I felt had the best lead matchup against anything she could have potentially led with. I can go straight for potentially a Toxic, Ice Beam, Aura Sphere, or Rapid Spin, I guess, even though I don't know why I would Rapid Spin turn 1. I don't know why I said that. I was thinking about something else, but I do manage to Toxic this Araquanid here turn 1. As it turns out, she herself has Toxic, and this is actually really annoying. If she had brought Araquanid, I didn't think that she would be running Toxic on it. And this is really bad, because again, this Blastoise is my best answer to Greninja. It's also my Rapid Spinner, because there's a good chance that she's gonna have sticky webs on this Araquanid, and if those sticky webs are here to stay for the entire match, that puts me in a very, very bad position throughout the entire game, because I need the speed from my Greninja and from my Jirachi if I want to have a chance to win this game. So she does get up her webs here as I make a hard switch into my Komodo, expecting the webs or thinking she may try to go for a liquidation. Regardless though, this should allow me to get up a substitute, hopefully with my Komodo, on the off chance that maybe she did want to try and switch out here, as she actually stays in and goes for the Toxic. And this is amazing, because what I could do here is go for my Commonium Z move and get my Omni boost. The only issue with that though is that she has Florges in the back, and I really don't want to waste the boost. So I decided to be aggressive and just go straight for the Poison Jab, expecting her to switch into the Florges, but she actually stays in to try and break my sub, which I am a little bit upset that this liquidation does break my sub, but Water Bubble does make Araquanid's water stab very, very terrifying, and it hits extremely hard. So the Toxic is luckily racking up on this Araquanid. If she doesn't have the aromatherapy on the Florges, I can hopefully Rapid Spin later and ensure that webs do not stay up. As in comes the Florges, I decided to be a little bit aggressive and go for Clanging Scales as opposed to going for the Poison Jab. In hindsight, I definitely should have gone for Poison Jab, because I would have been able to still have a good shot to KO the Araquanid, but I also would have got off damage on this Florges on the switch in, which would have told me what kind of set it was running. And then she reveals to have the aromatherapy, and now that Araquanid is going to be able to recover back HP with leftovers. So I decided to just get up my rocks here. In hindsight, I really wish I had been aggressive and gone for my Sludge Wave, because I might have been able to knock out the Araquanid here on the switch in, and that would have been very, very good for me later in this match. Rocks realistically weren't going to be entirely too helpful, although they are nice to ensure that Araquanid is basically forced to stay in, most likely, because when it comes back in on rocks is going to be very, very low. So she might feel the need to just sack it off instead of saving it for later in the battle. But still, I think I should have definitely just been aggressive instead of trying to go for my rocks. As I bring in my Blastoise, she gets the defense drop with the liquidation. And that's a little bit bad because now this means that after the defense drop, along with the Toxic, this Araquanid is going to be able to 2-hit KO my Mega Blastoise. So I'm going to try and go for the Rapid Spin here. I thought that after webs, I would actually be slower than this Araquanid, but it turns out that I'm still faster, and that is very, very not good. Basically, this is the worst case scenario out of this entire turn that could have happened, because the fact that I'm faster than the Araquanid now means that I cannot go after her, which means I'm forced to attack her as she gets up her webs again. As where if I was slower, she could get up her webs and then I could Rapid Spin and then I would get KO'd by the Toxic and then be able to revenge kill this Araquanid while also ensuring that she was not able to get up webs. But because I was faster, I am not going to be able to prevent webs from being up in this game, and now I am in a huge disadvantage, literally just because of that -1 speed. Dragon Dance Zygarde is even more terrifying. Battle Bond Greninja, even just regular Protean Greninja, has become a bigger threat because nothing on my team outspeeds either of those two mons. Well, Zygarde after a boost, and I don't outspeed Greninja with anything now, which means it just comes in and potentially gets a kill. So I need to find some way to hopefully maneuver around these sticky webs and not lose this game. So I'm going to go for the Gunk Shot here as I miss on the incoming Florges. And this really sucks because that Gunk Shot, I think, actually would have been able to knock out the Florges. And her not having Florges later in this battle would have been very, very good for us. So I decided to go for spikes here. This was basically like Nidoqueen earlier. I honestly should have just been aggressive instead of going for a layer of spikes. I figured that maybe hazards would at least be able to kind of deter the speed drops from the sticky webs just a little bit, but the webs speed drop is way more beneficial to her than me getting up any type of entry hazards. At this point, I really should have just been aggressive because getting off damage on a pre-mega Mega Aggron would have done at least 1/4, potentially 1/3 to it, and then that way it would have been easier for my Greninja to beat it. So I do get a little lucky and I get a flinch. If I can get another flinch, then I can beat this Mega Aggron and ensure that my Greninja is at full HP. And this is where Metronome would have been so handy. I'm spamming Dark Pulse. Metronome boosts the power of a move you go for consistently, and I would have been able to beat this Aggron, ensuring that my Greninja was at full HP. Because if my Greninja is at full HP, I can still live one hit from her own Greninja, and then in return get off some damage and hopefully put it in range of where I can revenge kill it with something else. However, though, that is not the case, and I get absolutely destroyed by a Heavy Slam, as it turns out that she is running Battle Bond Greninja, which at this point, once webs were here to stay, I think was actually worst case scenario. Like, yeah, Protean was scary, but Battle Bond Greninja hits so ridiculously hard. I've lost my Greninja, I've lost my Mega Blastoise. I don't necessarily have a good answer. Like, I have Shaman, but I need Shaman for Zygarde, and if my Shaman gets too low, Zygarde basically just wins. I have Scarf Jirachi in the back, which if this Greninja is forced to lock itself into something like Ice Beam, that can be really good for me. But regardless, I'm really on the back foot. I've been on the back foot just about this entire match, mainly because I did not expect Araquanid to be such a giant problem. Oh my god, this Araquanid was so damn annoying. Just with webs and it weakening my Blastoise. So down goes Araquanid finally, but at this point it's already done so much work to me that it doesn't matter. And then in comes the Gengar, as I do luckily have Nidoqueen still at full HP, so I should be able to hopefully deal with this thing accordingly. As she decides to go for the Sludge Bomb, obviously that is going to do 0, which is really nice because now I will be able to tank any one hit that this thing wants to go for, and in return knock her out with a not a Sludge Wave, sorry, an Earth Power. But I thought that she would switch out, thinking I would go for Earth Power, so I decide to go for the Ice Beam, as she ends up getting a Spadef drop and she stays in. So I'm really not like this. This is going really bad really fast. So she's gonna Shadow Ball again. That Spadef drop honestly doesn't matter in the long run of the game. Like, this extra damage doesn't really change anything, as I will be able to get rid of her Gengar here, because I figured if she was willing to lose it the first time she left Gengar in on my Nidoqueen, she's probably just gonna sack it off anyways, because now she guarantees me in range of where anything she has can come in and revenge kill me that is offensive. So in comes the Zygarde. I don't want this to Dragon Dance for free, so I need to go for the Ice Beam, as she decides to actually just knock me out with the 1,000 arrows. And this is really bad because I have no information on this Zygarde. I don't know if it's banded, I don't know if it's coil, I don't know if it's Dragon Dance. I have no idea what this thing is, so I need to play around it as if it was potentially banded. So I decide to bring in my Shaman. And in hindsight, what I could have also done was brought in my Kamo if I didn't fear this thing being banded. But if it was banded and knocked down my Kamo after Stealth Rock, Shaman in the end was my safest play, regardless of what kind of Zygarde set she was running. Shaman was always my safest play. So I brought in Shaman as she goes for the Dragon Dance on my Synthesis. She is then going to pop the Z Drake. The reason I decided to go for Synthesis as opposed to being aggressive was because first off, she might have been weakness policy, so she would have been a +3 and absolutely obliterated me. And then there was also the chance that she was in Dragon Dance and that maybe she switched out. So if I kept Shaman at full HP, I could be in an okay spot. But it turns out that she is running the Dragonium Z, absolutely mollywops my Shaman. And then it turns out I don't even have Hidden Power Ice. Checked after the game, it was Hidden Power Dragon. So yeah, that's I think that's pretty much the game. Like, there's nothing I can do at this point. Like, even if I can somehow kill this Zygarde, then Greninja still comes in, and after webs, my Scarf Jirachi is not faster. So this is where earlier, if I had brought in Kamo, I might have forced her to go for her Dragonium Z, and then that way she popped it on my Kamo, and then I would then be able to bring in Shaman potentially to try and 1v1 the Zygarde, and then in comes Greninja. It has to Ice Beam, so I could have made an aggressive switch maybe into Jirachi if I wasn't low enough to where Specs Dark Pulse was able to knock me out. Then maybe Jirachi would have been able to win me the game if I had hit that gunk shot earlier on the Florges. But all this is just hindsight. It doesn't really matter at this point because we do catch a loss here in the first game of the best of 3. So clearly this is really not off to a good start. We're already down 1. If we lose game 2, we basically lose the finals. But this is the nice thing, I guess, about best 2 out of 3, where if this was just a regular finals game, then I would have lost the entire league already. But because it is best 2 out of 3, I still have a chance to win, which is very handy. The only issue is that I need to win 2 games in a row, and I need to find some way that I can deal with this Araquanid heading into game 2, because Araquanid is easily the biggest issue now alongside that Zygarde that I'm gonna have to try and prepare for game number 2 and potentially game number 3 if I'm able to win a game 2. So yeah, hopefully you guys did enjoy. Hit that thumbs up button down below. Let me know what you guys think about best 2 out of 3 formats for the finals of draft leagues. Do you think it's good, bad, dumb, smart? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below. We'll see you all tomorrow with game number 2, where hopefully we can pull out a W. And I will see you all later.